Pisces, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of January. So, do you like the ambiance? This to me it's very ethereal right now in here, and it's not usually like this. I don't know why there's this kind of like fog, but as soon as because I only did Aquarius and now I'm doing Pisces today. I've already finished the other astrology readings, but this just reminds me of the Pisces energy where it's very dreamy and kind of that ethereal, visionary type of energy. So anyway, I'll start getting into the reading. This is going to be most applicable for your rising sign, just the way that this is structured. And so that's how other people perceive you, especially when they first meet you. It's still applicable for your sun sign, which is how you express yourself, and then also your moon sign, which is how you process everything internally through that emotional lens. Now, I am structuring these readings a little bit different. So there's major transits that take place where planets move into different signs. We have the full moon, the new moon, all of those things. I'm also going to start highlighting, probably if you go down a layer, the other transits that also kind of occur throughout the month, because what I was noticing in doing it the other way was that we would have like a gap of about a week in between some of these transits, but there's still energy. There's still things that are happening. So this should really close the gap on that, and it does. There's a lot that's taking place here in the month of January. So just to start off the month and looking at that first partial week. So from Wednesday the 1st to Saturday the 4th, we have one major transit. That is going to be Venus entering your sign. And so that's going to happen at 10:24 p.m. on the 2nd. When this happens, when Venus enters into your sign, this is really going to highlight what you love and value about yourself, your physical person. And that is going to blend with how you feel on the inside. That this is like a beautiful, beautiful energy for you. In fact, the energy of this month is going to feel really good for you. We will have, when Venus enters into your sign, a square to Uranus retrograde in Taurus, but this is that Uranus retrograde in Taurus. This is your perception of a situation, the way that you're understanding things, because that Uranus retrograde, it indicates that there's a lot of internal change that's taking place. There's the kind of sudden awakening type of energy, especially sitting in your third house of communication. And so these kind of sudden changes that are taking place, they're going to be opposite what you love and value about yourself. And it's more of you're focused on what you have versus on what is being released from your life. That's where that kind of challenging energy comes into play. On Friday the 3rd, we'll have Mars retrograde in the sign of Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius. And so this Mars retrograde in Leo indicates that either you're not taking some sort of action in your daily life, or you're maybe pausing before you take some sort of action in your daily life, or there's going to be some sort of internal action that takes place in your daily environment, because that Mars retrograde indicates that you're definitely not taking action outward. You're not doing anything actively that would impact the world around you or have a direct impact on specific areas within your daily life. Your daily life incorporates a lot of things. It's your normal, think of your Monday through Friday routine. Do you go to work on, what are your work hours? What do you typically do on the weekends? That kind of normal routine that you do on a regular basis. It's all that 6th house energy, where Mars retrograde is currently sitting. And now opposite Pluto in Aquarius indicates that there's a lot of internal change that's taking place for you. And you're going to be with this energy for quite some time. So the good news is Pluto is a very slow moving planet, which means these changes are going to be slow, methodical. It's a lot of releasing in order to make room for something else in your life, because let's be honest, you only have so much bandwidth. And so something has to give if you're going to grow and expand. If you're going to do anything that's going to better you and help you evolve, you have to get rid of some of the baggage. And so that's what that Pluto energy is doing for you. And so it's either about you're internally changing, these changes that are taking place, or you're withholding some sort of action in your daily life. The daily life would be more external to you versus anything that is happening internal. So that's the opposition. On Saturday the 4th, we'll have the Sun in Capricorn sextile Saturn in Pisces. And so the Sun in Capricorn, the way that this is impacting you, this is relative to your friends. So think of the people that you choose to be around on a regular basis, that group of friends, not the individual relationships, but the collective in general. So you might be having conversations with them, planning, making plans with them. That's going to create an opportunity for you to work on who you want to be, how you want to be seen by other people. So I like how that one plays out. And then the next week, we have two major transits taking place. And the first one is on Monday the 6th. So at 5:44 in the morning Eastern time, we'll have Mars retrograde back into the sign of Cancer. So it was in Cancer, it moved into Leo, stationed retrograde, and now it was retrograde in Leo, and now it's back into Cancer. And so when Mars retrograde into Cancer, this is going to be a lot of keeping your feelings to yourself, not acting on your feelings. It's all sitting in your 5th house. So this is going to be relative to any kind of creative projects, any kind of passions that you might have, children, short-term relationships. All of that is part of the 5th house energy where you're really keeping your feelings to yourself. Doing that, or maybe even taking some sort of pause before you act on them, is going to easily flow with how you feel about your personal finances or what you love and value. Mars retrograde in Cancer will also trine Neptune and Pisces. And so keeping your feelings to yourself here is also going to easily flow with who you want to be. When you think about ideally, who do you want to be? How do you want to be seen by other people? This is really going to support that energy or support those ideas. And then Mars retrograde will be opposite Pluto in Aquarius. So whatever changes are happening within you, again, very different than you keeping your feelings to yourself. We saw this with Mars retrograde in Leo. Now we're seeing it back into the sign of Cancer. So there's something about these changes that are happening within you and the way that they're impacting you, because they're impacting you on a soul level, on a fundamental, foundational, kind of behind the scenes level versus these other areas of your life that are external to you. And so that's where the opposition is coming into play. It's more of which one is the priority right now. And then later that same day on Monday, we'll have Mercury in Sagittarius square Neptune in Pisces. And so Sagittarius rules your 10th house of career and public reputation. Putting Mercury into the mix here, there's a lot of conversations around your work, anything that's optimistic, high level, growth oriented here. And it is creating obstacles and challenges to your ideal persona. So who do you want to be? How do you want to be seen by other people? But that Neptune and Pisces energy, because Neptune is your ruler, it's more of like this kind of fog that you're seeing in the film right now, where you're not focused on the actual daydreaming on who you want to be. You're more focused on the concrete conversations taking place in your career. That's where the challenging energy is coming into play. One is kind of very much a 3D versus the other one that is a 5D or even just a daydreaming type of energy. And then on Wednesday the 8th at 5:30 in the morning Eastern time, we'll have Mercury enter the sign of Capricorn. And so again, Capricorn is ruling your house of friendships here. And so adding Mercury into the mix, now this could be that you are really solidifying, making plans with your friends. These could even be long-term plans, like planning vacations out a year from now, 5 years from now, milestone birthdays, things along those lines. And that's going to easily flow with how you feel about the way that you're communicating, the situation, your immediate surroundings, that 3rd house energy. If your friends are in close proximity to you, like their neighbors and things like that, that they're part of that 3rd house energy. They're also part of the 11th house energy. And so easy flow of energy there. Mercury in Capricorn will also sextile Venus in Pisces. And so when you have these conversations with your friends and you start kind of talking, planning things, whatever it is, it's creating an opportunity for you to really focus on what you love about yourself. Now, where it is creating challenges is in that Neptune in Pisces energy, where you're not really focused on coming up with new goals and new dreams for yourself. It's more of you're very much in this concrete 3D. Let's put pen to paper. Let's create some sort of plan, put it in place, because that Capricorn energy is very much grounded in reality right now. Let's do it. And then later that same day on Wednesday, we'll have the Sun in Capricorn square Chiron in Aries. And so the way that you're expressing yourself with your friends, you might be coming across as very goal-oriented, very driven, very motivated to make some sort of plan, put something into place here. That is going to create challenges to whatever financial insecurity wound you have, or something here, maybe it's a wound connected to your own worth and value. It's just making it more difficult for you to address that wound at this time. And it's more of, again, which one is your priority? Because it seems like interacting with your friends and establishing something concrete as far as plans go is the more kind of dominant energy at the moment. And then on Saturday the 11th, we officially start the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle. So we'll talk about that throughout the year because it's going to be with us in 2025 and then the first half of 2026. So we'll talk about that, but that is in your sign, the North Node in your sign. And so the North Node would be impacting you on a physical level. There's lessons you need to learn. These are karmic lessons The release is going to be connected to the Virgo energy. There's something you're already comfortable with. You've already learned those lessons. Now they've kind of come to fruition. They've come full circle. You can release that, and so you can move on. But again, we'll get into more detail as we go through the year and a half. The next week here, so from Sunday the 12th to Saturday the 18th, we have one major transit. It's actually the full moon in Cancer. But before we get there, so on Saturday the 12th, we'll have Mars retrograde in Cancer, trine Neptune in Pisces. And so keeping your feelings to yourself as it relates to your passions, your hobbies, children, all of those things, that's easily going to flow with who you want to be, how you want to be seen by other people, that Neptune and Pisces energy. It might even encourage you to maybe dream bigger, dream more about who you want to be. On Monday the 13th, before the full moon, we'll have the Sun trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. We'll actually see this again during the full moon energy, but this just indicates the way that you're interacting with your friends, the way that you're coming across as being very ambitious and driven. That is going to easily flow with whatever sudden internal changes are taking place in the world around you. And this could be your communication, the way that you see things, the way that you're interacting with other people. It's all easily blended together. And then Monday the 13th at 5:27 p.m., we'll have the full moon in the sign of Cancer. And so the way that this is playing out, this is a 5th house, 11th house energy for you. So you've got your friends, and then you've got children if you have them, or short-term relationships, passions, hobbies. If you think about it, a lot of times they're not going to interact, because when you're spending time with that collective, that group of friends, it's all of you together in a place doing something, versus maybe you going after some sort of passion or hobby, or even spending time with children. You're not necessarily going to spend time with children at the same time you're spending time with your friends. This is the opposition energy. This is how this full moon is going to impact you. And so the way that you're expressing yourself with your friends, coming across, again, driven, ambitious, making plans here, that's going to be opposite how you feel about children or passions, all of these kind of other things that you do for pleasure, for fun. And because the sun is opposite that moon in Cancer, Mars retrograde is also in the sign of Cancer. The sun is going to be opposite that as well. And so that Mars retrograde in Cancer indicates that you are keeping your feelings to yourself as it relates to children, hobbies, all of those things. Or you're taking some sort of internal action and not really doing anything outward. But again, you're very focused on either your friends or you're focused on your hobbies. It's kind of that either or type of scenario here. You can find a way to make it both work. It's just going to be which one is the priority right now. And because the sun is opposite Mars retrograde in Cancer, but the moon is in Cancer, moon and Mars retrograde are in a conjunction with each other. So how you feel about children, your hobbies, all of those things completely blends with keeping your feelings to yourself here, or not taking some sort of outward action. Maybe it's just an inward action. It's all kind of coming together. And just like we saw earlier in the day, we'll have the sun in Capricorn trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so again, this kind of ambitious self-expression, it's easily going to flow with whatever internal changes are taking place in the way that you're understanding a situation, the way that maybe you interact with the world around you. These would all be internal changes, this kind of awakening, this sudden realization on, oh, that's how that's playing out. That's how they mean it when they say this. They don't mean it the way that I used to take it. They mean it this way. You're understanding people's motives more. There's kind of a breakdown of barriers that are taking place with this Uranus retrograde energy, where internal barriers, internal perceptions, and maybe misconceptions around the way that people interact with you that maybe cause you to interact in a certain way, because people trigger a response out of you one way or the other. If somebody comes up to you and they say something really aggressive and angry, your impulse is going to be to do the same. But now you're starting to learn some lessons about, okay, well, if I take a step back and I kind of listen to what they're doing or listen to what they're saying here, I'm going to understand it differently. That's the Uranus energy. These would be sudden changes, sudden realizations that are taking place. And so where the sun is easily going to blend with that kind of change in understanding, the moon in Cancer is creating an opportunity for even more of that to take place. So how you feel about children, your passions, hobbies, all of those things, they're creating opportunities here for more changes to take place in that area of your life. We do have the sun in Capricorn sextile Neptune in Pisces. And so this kind of ambitious self-expression with your friends, it's creating an opportunity for you to maybe daydream about who you are, who do you want to be, how do you want to be seen by other people. How you feel about your children is going to easily flow with that energy as well. So these are both positive aspects. One creates an opportunity, the other one easily flows. And then we do have the Sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So the Sun's in Capricorn, Pluto's in Aquarius. And so the way that you're communicating with your friends, that fully aligns with whatever internal changes are taking place for you. The Moon is going to be opposite that energy. And so how you feel about children, your passion projects, hobbies, all of that is going to be opposite to whatever internal changes are taking place. And then we do have the Sun and the Moon both form a T-square to Chiron in Aries. And so the way that this is playing out, your kind of driven, motivated conversations that you're having with friends and the way that you feel about children, your hobbies, all of these things, they're both individually creating obstacles and challenges to healing some sort of financial insecurity, some sort of wound connected to your personal finances, or it could be to the way that you value yourself or maybe love about yourself, all of those things. And so it's just not really giving you an opportunity to work on that. You've got other things that are kind of taking priority at the moment. And then we do have the Moon trine Saturn in Pisces. And so how you feel about children, hobbies, things like that, it's easily going to flow with working on who you want to be. What goals do you have set for yourself? How do you want to be seen by other people? Because this is really going to help you in that area and really work on who you want to be. And then on Tuesday the 14th, we'll have Venus in Pisces square Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. And so what you love and value about yourself is creating not creating an opportunity, it's actually creating challenges to any kind of internal growth that you're trying to get in your home environment. That Jupiter retrograde in Gemini energy is impacting your house of home. And so it's either you're focused on yourself or you're focused on your home environment. This is where that challenging energy comes into play. And then on the 15th, we'll have the Sun in Capricorn opposite Mars retrograde in Cancer. And so this kind of ambitious self-expression that you have with your friends is going to be opposite to keeping your feelings to yourself or taking some sort of internal action relative to children, hobbies, all of those things that you enjoy doing in your spare time. And then on Friday the 17th, I like how the weekend kind of plays out. So Friday the 17th, we have the Sun in Capricorn sextile Neptune in Pisces. And so when you're having these conversations with your friends and you're really expressing what kind of plans you want to put into place, anything here with that Sun in Capricorn energy, it's going to create an opportunity for you to really focus on who you want to be. Kind of, again, thinking about from a dream standpoint, how do you want to be seen by other people? If you had to kind of take that step back, who is your ideal persona? Who do you want to step into? Who do you want to be? And what happens then is the next day you're being given an opportunity to work on it. So on Saturday the 18th, we've got Venus in Pisces conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And so again, what you love and value about yourself, you're able to work on that and maybe expand that, make more room for that in your thought process. And with all these modifications that are taking place internally to you, it is about you focusing on the more positive aspects in your life and the more positive traits of who you are so that you can kind of lean into that energy more and get rid of anything that might be holding you back. All those kind of like little negative thoughts going away. Then the next week in January, so from Sunday the 19th to Saturday the 25th, we have a couple, well, I think it's really, let's just talk about Sunday here because Sunday is a pretty big one. We'll have Mercury in Capricorn sextile Saturn in Pisces. And so just like we were seeing the day before, working on these dreams that you have for yourself, when you have conversations with friends, because that's coming up again, it's going to create an opportunity for you to work on yourself even more. There might be things that you're learning about your conversations with your friends, planning, making plans with them, kind of all of the content of the conversations is leading you down a path that kind of refocuses your energy on who you want to be, how you want to be seen by other people. And it's giving you an opportunity here to really work on that. And it's not even just about work on it, but it's about really getting clear on what you love and value about yourself, because it's these conversations are creating an opportunity there as well. And that's both on Sunday. Not to be outdone, later in the day on Sunday, we have the Sun enter the sign of Aquarius. And this is where the energy starts to really pick up. Through the end of the month, we're going to see a lot of liberating energy. So kind of a lot of, I just keep getting images of like glass shattering. So think of it from old paradigms, old restrictions and limitations. They're really going to start crashing down this month. And so when the sun enters the sign of Aquarius, this is all about you, your internal self, your subconscious, you away from the rest of the world. You're really looking at things differently. You're understanding things differently. It's this kind of liberating self-expression that is going to blend with the changes that are taking place. So you're really starting to piece everything together, how all of this is playing out for you. It's going to trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so it's going to easily flow with whatever other sudden internal changes are taking place with your understanding of external situations. So you're kind of starting to see how external is influencing internal. Internal is going to become external here later in the month. And so I like how all this is playing out. The sun will also trine the moon in Libra. So the moon in Libra is in your 8th house of transformation. So this is that death and rebirth energy. And so when you think about this kind of liberating self-expression, the way that you're being transformed inside, it's going to easily flow with anything else, this balanced energy, this feeling good about what is changing here, because that Libra energy is a very balanced energy. And I like that it rules your house of transformation, because that indicates that all the transformation that is taking place is meant to put you back on even footing. If you have felt like the ground was slipping out from underneath you, that you kept falling over in some sort of way because you're having a really hard time standing up, this is telling me that it's now you're going to start getting your feet underneath you. You're really dispelling all of that negative energy, all those things that held you back. The sun in Aquarius will also sextile Neptune in Pisces. And so again, when you think about everything happening internally to you, it's creating an opportunity to really focus on who do you want to be? How do you want to be seen by other people? It is going to this is going to be opposite Mars retrograde in Cancer. So whatever you're learning about yourself and whatever you continue to learn about yourself, it's going to be opposite keeping your feelings to yourself as it relates to children, hobbies, passion projects, all of those things. And then on Tuesday, we have a few things happening here as well. So we'll have Mercury in Capricorn square Chiron in Aries. And so Mercury in Capricorn indicates, again, with your friends, a lot of goal-oriented, maybe plan-oriented conversations where you are planning things with them, whether it's just like a regular meetup or it could be something more significant like a overseas kind of trip or something along those lines. It's about making plans, having kind of long-term goal-oriented conversations with them. It's going to create obstacles and challenges to healing any kind of financial wound or that kind of self-worth, self-value type of wound. Also, that same day on the 21st, we'll have the sun in Aquarius conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So we saw this a couple days ago. Now this conjunction becomes exact. And so the way that you're kind of understanding your transformation, just everything about this fully lines up. It's kind of like you're on board with whatever is being released. You're on board. You're starting to recognize these kind of limitations and restrictions for what they are so you can release them. And then on Thursday, we have a few things happening here as well. So there's a lot that's taking place this week. So on Thursday, the first thing is Mars retrograde in Cancer, sextile Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So this is all about keeping your feelings to yourself as it relates to your hobbies, your kids, things like that. It's creating an opportunity for even more sudden change to occur in the world around you. And this would be that internal perception, understanding of how everything is playing out. Then we have Mercury in Capricorn opposite Mars retrograde in Cancer. And so whatever conversations you're having with your friends, it's going to be directly opposite, keeping your feelings to yourself as it relates to children and hobbies, things like that. This Mercury in Capricorn will also trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so these goal-oriented conversations that you're having, they're going to easily flow with whatever sudden changes are taking place in the way that you're understanding information, the way that you're understanding the world around you and kind of your role within the world around you, because there's a lot of modification taking place internal to you, and you can kind of start to see how you fit in with everything else around you. And then on Saturday the 25th, we'll have Venus in Pisces trine Mars retrograde in Cancer. So this Venus in Pisces energy, so again, what you love and value about yourself, it's going to easily flow with keeping your feelings to yourself as it relates to children or your passions, things like that. And then we get to the end of the month here. So that last week, almost a full week. So from Sunday the 26th to Friday the 31st, this is the big liberating week. So if I had to label any of the weeks in January liberating, it's this one. We've got 3 major transits taking place, and they all revolve change. So before we get into that, on Sunday the 26th, we'll have Mercury in Capricorn sextile Neptune in Pisces. And so these conversations that you're having with friends are creating an opportunity for you to really focus on who do you want to be, how do you want to be seen. We'll also see Venus in Pisces, sextile Uranus, retrograde in Taurus. And so what you love and value about yourself is creating an opportunity for even more changes in the way that you see yourself interacting with the world around you. That perception of you and your role in your society, your community, the people around you, in your kind of close proximity here. And then on Monday the 27th, we have Mercury enter the sign of Aquarius at 9:53 p.m. Eastern Time. And so Aquarius, again, your internal house, that kind of hidden house, you away from the rest of the world. We've got Mercury entering into the mix. It's going to conjunct the Sun and Pluto, both in the sign of Aquarius. And so you might be getting to a point here where you're ready to start talking about the changes that are taking place within you, these kind of this transformation that you're going through, these blocks and barriers that are being removed, the kind of rigid structures that previously existed, including expectations, they're being lifted from you. And so you're getting to a point where you're ready to start opening up and talking about these changes, because there is a conjunction to the moon in Capricorn. And so how you feel about your friends might inspire you enough to start opening up and start talking about these changes that are taking place. There's also a trine to Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So whatever is taking place, whatever these conversations are, it's going to easily flow with the changes in your perception of the world around you. Again, kind of how you interact with other people, your understanding of the situation. It's all sitting in that house of communication, but also processing information. And then we do have Mercury in Aquarius, sextile Venus in Pisces. And so these conversations that you're having, maybe with your friends, they're creating an opportunity to really focus on what you love and value about yourself, and also maybe daydream a little bit more, but really getting clear on what those dreams are. Who do you want to be? How do you want to be seen? We do have Mercury opposite Mars retrograde in Cancer, but we saw this. This is not new. We saw the Sun opposite. Now we're getting this Mercury energy opposite. And so whatever these conversations are, these kind of liberating, freeing type of conversations, they are going to be opposite keeping your feelings to yourself, but you can kind of see why. What I'm seeing is that you might be interacting with your friends on a very fundamental level, really expressing what's happening here. And so that would be opposite keeping your feelings to yourself as it pertains to maybe your children or kind of other areas of your life, your passions, your hobbies, things like that. Because that might be part of what's changing within you. What used to bring you pleasure may be changing. And then on Wednesday the 29th at 7:36 in the morning, we have the new moon in Aquarius. And so it's not just the sun and moon that are in a conjunction, although they are at the same degree point. In the sign of Aquarius, we also have Mercury and Pluto in the mix. So that's 4 planets, all in close proximity. So overlapping energies here. So this is all about liberating conversations, how you feel about everything, the transformation that's taking place, the way that you're expressing yourself. All of these things are changing, and it all feels really good. Like this is progress being made, and this is where the liberating energy is really coming into play. And then on Thursday the 30th, we have more change. So we have Uranus stationed direct in the sign of Taurus, and that happens at 11:22 in the morning Eastern time. So we've seen up until now, Uranus is playing a pretty big part in January. But now, instead of it being retrograde, where these changes are going to take place within you, they're going to be external to you. And so Uranus stationing direct in your house of communication, this is really some sort of outward change. You might be communicating differently. You might find yourself, because you've learned a lot about how you're responding and how you're understanding the world around you and how you kind of play into your immediate environment, you might be seeing more changes take place in that environment. And it has everything to do with this kind of drop in expectations, this kind of just metamorphosis that you're going through. And that's going to create an opportunity to keep your feelings to yourself as it relates to your passions or children, things like that. It's also going to create an opportunity to really focus on and work on what you love and value about yourself. All these changes are making room for something else, something more enjoyable, more in alignment with what you want to grow in your life, and again, how you want to be seen by other people. Uranus and Taurus will square the moon in Aquarius, and so it is going to create challenges to how you feel about whatever's happening internal. These again would be kind of relative to those changes that are taking place, but it's more of there's changes happening outside of you, changes happening within you. There's the conflict. And then later that same day, on Thursday the 30th, we'll have the Sun in Aquarius trine Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. And so this kind of liberating self-expression, that's going to easily flow with whatever internal growth you're looking for in your home environment. So what you can see is a lot of, during all this retrograde energy, there was a lot of internal change that was taking place, a lot of kind of needing to see things from a different perspective, from a more open perspective, releasing all of the ways that you maybe boxed yourself in previously. And so I like how this is kind of all playing out. I know 2025, I haven't looked at the total astrology, not holistically, but I know that there's a lot of change and transformation coming. So we're off to a good start. So Pisces, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.